Hello and welcome to a brand new show of Khaane Pe Charchaa. My guest on the show today is someone who has this unique ability to keep on reinventing himself. A celebrity chef, an entrepreneur, and a content creator. While food is the common theme which connects everything he does, I can assure you one thing, every time you think about his name, happiness, curiosity, satisfaction, and joy. These are the four words which come on everyone's mind. It gives me great pleasure to bring on board, and for the first time on ET Now, Chef Ranveer Brar. So nice to have you on ET Now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's special, trust me. Looking forward to this conversation. I think you've been very kind with your words. I still am a work in progress, as they say, but बहुत shukriya. Thank you.
I'll share the story with our audience. When our producer, Ankita Saxena, the producer of the show, she said, Chef Ranveer Brar has agreed. My first reaction was, अरे जी मजा आ गया. अब कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, खाने को मिलेगा, जानने को मिलेगा और पकाने को मिलेगा. तो कहाँ से बातचीत चालू करें?
आप बताइए. Any part, I think that's the beauty of food. You can start from anywhere.
Life story is something which is very well documented. तो वो बातें नहीं करते हैं जो सबको पता है, पर वो स्टोरी के अंदर जो मोस्ट अमेजिंग गोल्डन थ्रेड है, दैट इज ग्रिट. अब हिंदी में उसे हट बोल सकते हैं, कई लोग स्टबर्ननेस बोलेंगे, कई लोग जिद बोलेंगे, मगर दिस होल एटीट्यूड ऑफ नेवर फेल, कीप ऑन डूइंग व्हाट यू वांट टू डू, इज दैट द रीजन, इज दैट व्हाट विल डिफरेंशिएट एन ऑर्डिनरी पर्सन फ्रॉम एन एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी पर्सन?
हाँ, मतलब I think वो ordinary और extraordinary में फर्क भी वही extra ही है ना.
जी हाँ.
You know, and the thing is, you know, that extra usually is that moment when you realize it hasn't worked out. How do you react to it? You know, and somebody said, and I've always kept this on my mind that you know, fear is not the absence of courage, right? It's the ability to act in the presence, right? So I think वो जो है वो बड़ा important है. Courage is not the absence of fear; it's the ability to act in the presence of fear. So we fail, you know. The point is how you react to failure, and how seriously you take things.
But एक बात तो है that you should not be afraid of making mistakes. The only thing is that you should learn from the mistake and never do that mistake again.
Absolutely. But I think the world around you is changing so much, you know, that sometimes yesterday's mistakes become today's conversations, right? कल बहुत सारी चीजें जो हैं वो before time थी. तो I think वो उसको assess करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. It is very important to assess that, oh, it was wrong then. Will it be wrong now? Or maybe the time has come. You know, being ahead of its times for the longest was a curse, है ना? कि यार, you know, he was ahead of its times, and that was a reason given for failure. यार कोई बात नहीं, ahead of its time. But the point is, the time is moving so fast. You have, in today's world, you get the time to catch up and reevaluate and say, okay, that thought, does it fit in today's context? You know, which is the beauty of the world we're living in today.
You are in your 40s, but I will take the clock back to your 20s. India of 1990s, जब मैं भी पढ़ रहा था, आप भी पढ़ रहे थे, हमें बोला जाता था भाई साइंस करोगे तो इंजीनियर बनोगे, बायोलॉजी पढ़ोगे तो डॉक्टर बनोगे, कुछ नहीं करोगे तो कम से कम बीकॉम करके अच्छी नौकरी लग जाएगी.
बैंक पीओ,
बैंक जा सकते हैं, सरकारी नौकरी, सिविल सर्वेंट आप बन सकते हैं. That time, the whole image of a chef was almost like, भाई कहीं अच्छे रेस्टोरेंट में नौकरी करते हैं या फिर हिंदी का वर्ड बोले तो बावर्ची बोल सकते हैं. You decided to take a leap of faith. Was it passion or was it sheer hut?
Yeah, I think it was hut first. I think it was just I get very scared if it is too easy. तो उसका मतलब कुछ गड़बड़ होगा. एक पता नहीं क्या है, you know, call it whatever. If it is easy, then there's a problem, right? It's a problem because sometimes you just tend to unnecessarily make things difficult for yourself. But it just seemed to be too easy. I was good in school, good in college. Dad was an engineer. And it seemed too easy and obvious tha.
Gold medalist. Your father was gold medalist.
Ji. So I just didn't want to go with the obvious. And that's how I've been. You know, a lot of times, I'm the last one to agree in a room because I'll always question the obvious. And that I was always that. तो जब वो था कि नहीं ये भी नहीं करना नहीं एनडीए में नहीं जाना. You know, maybe एनडीए भी होता है ना अपना. एनडीए में नहीं जाना, सीपीएमटी नहीं करना, your जेई में नहीं बैठना, बैंक पीओ नहीं करना, railways was also an option, IAS was an option. So none of it. So what do you do? This was the first sort of no. This is what I want to do. It just came through this process of elimination.
The food scene in India is actually exploding. Content creation, restaurant, experimentation with cuisine. For somebody who's watching the show, who's in their 20s, they say, look, I take inspiration from Chef Brar. देखिए क्या कमाल करा उन्होंने. From a chef to a celebrity chef to a master chef judge, restaurateur and now content creator. Do you think there is serious scope to make money in this entire circuit?
Yeah. This is for everybody who's saying that Ranveer has made it big. To give you an example, I think cricket is a good example to give here. That our generation is not even, we are the Bishan Singh Bedis of the food world. The Virat Kohlis are yet to come.
तो T20 तो चालू ही नहीं हुआ है
अभी तो टेस्ट मैच पे ही चल रहे हैं हम लोग. Right? अभी तो अगर लग रहा है कि this is success. So, you know, if you are somebody who's looking to get into food, you have no idea. The Virat Kohli generation, अभी तो the Oscar generation has to come, the Kapil Dev generation, अभी तो बहुत मजा आने वाला है.
If we would have met in 2014, we would have been discussing a very different kind of a food scene. Blogging had just about started, content creation was still very niche. Not everybody was a domain expert. Today, content creation, I think, a volume में हो रहा है. So we know the scene today. But in 2034, hypothetically, हम चाय पे फिर चर्चा अगर करते हैं, तो हम क्या बात करेंगे food scene की?
We'll be talking about virtual interactions with food. I think in the whole ये जो खाने का space है ना, उसमें आप डांस देख सकते हो, गाना सुन सकते हो, खाना आप सिर्फ देख रहे हो, right? I think the food world will move to a place where interacting with food beyond just the screen is going to become faster, easier, and it's not just click to buy. It's also avenues that are going to get created. I think वो जो है, it's going to become more sensorial, and it's going to just, and that's when the game's going to become bigger. With AI and with everything else that's coming into place. I think that...
AI will come in food.
Absolutely. It'll come in our lives. Food is an extension of our life. Like I said, see, whether you say I like food or I don't like food, doesn't matter. You still have breakfast, lunch and dinner.
आपके एक पेयर हैं संजीव कपूर, उन्होंने कभी नया प्रोडक्ट निकाला है, रोबोट विल डू कुकिंग. तब इसमें क्या होने वाला बताएं?
हाँ, no, so I'm aware of that product. I think it's a very, very interesting product. So, I think कहने का मतलब, what that product is, what does is basically it's sort of you fill it, shut it, forget it, sort of a thing. But I think eventually in the whole robotic space, robots doing cooking, I don't see that as a हमेशा मंगवाना जो है ना खाना आसान रहेगा बनवाने से या बनाने से, right? Unless you're cooking for 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, a person sitting at home will always prefer to order in. He would, there's no point getting a robot and then worrying about the robot having to cook when you're only 2 or 3 people are eating. But larger quantities, you'll see a lot of technological interface. Food tech, I always say right now, is tech and food, right? There are these tech guys and there are these food guys.
Why do the facts around food, they keep on changing, which is for the benefit of our viewers, if I break it down. 15 years ago, ghee was associated with fat. Today, ghee is supposed to be health. Olive oil is all healthy, but now the latest study is that we go back to basic, look at cold press oil or look at, sarson ka oil. Go back to what India actually produces. Why are food facts changing so much? And as a chef, what does that mean?
See, one of the biggest reasons is that for the longest, we learned things the Western way. The Indian way is cause and effect. आप कोई चीज़ कुछ कर रहे हैं, उसका इफेक्ट देख रहे हैं और आप रियलाइज कर रहे हैं ये अच्छी है या नहीं अच्छी. The Western way is logic, analytics and explanation. So for the longest way, because of our fascination with the West, हमको terms, logic से obsession था, right? खाने का जो basic मकसद है वो है nourishment and its effect on the body. What goes in and how it sort of comes out. That for the longest we'd forgotten. Second is we've understood the whole lobbying bit.
Which is very important.
Which is very important. You know, the chef of today has understood that there is the olive oil lobby, there's the butter lobby. They will never be good, you know, and the FDA sort of gets influenced by one lobby, the other one doesn't really look good at that point in time. We've understood the bigger business of these trends. And hence, we are able to take a wiser stand as chefs, as influencers, you like to call it, or as people who are opinion drivers. That is the second change, and the more important change that's happened. You know, the avocado lobby takes over. It's not that the avocados suddenly have become good. Avocados were good, they will be good. The lobby's taken over currently, and that's why you see a lot of avocado conversations. That understanding of the machine and how it works has also caused that change, and the pride in being Indian.
So which are the three big changes you expect in the पहले खाना तो खा लीजिए देखिए तो which are the three big changes you expect in the Indian food scene now 3, 4, 5, 10 साल के अंदर
I think democratization of the business. You know, it started happening with home chefs and with these home dining experiences and cloud kitchens and so on and so forth. That's just the beginning. I think it's just a long way to go. This whole pride of wearing a chef coat that chefs have held on to and created this bastion saying, "Khana hum hi bana sakte hain," that's going to go.
So everybody and anybody can cook.
Everybody and anybody can put up a sign and say, "I'm open for business," and there is a space for them. I think that is a big change that I see happening because. Like I said, because like you were talking about, this whole content creation is suddenly democratic, right? That's the world we're getting into. The barriers are far and few. Also, I always say in India, we'll always have a lot of mouths to feed, right? So unlike Europe or the West, you know, when you are there to feed 1.4 billion people, the window is always going to be open for you. So I think that bit, the entry-level barrier is just going to vanish. That's one. The second bit that's going to change is, I personally believe that a lot of underrepresented food is going to find a voice. I think that's the world we're going into.
Millet has made a comeback.
Yeah, you know, and so I think also that's the world we're living into, right? We're living into a world where emotions that were sort of suppressed are showing up. So a lot of this cuisine that was younger brothers, younger sisters of a bigger cuisine, you know, that is the time to shine. I always say Oriya cuisine for that matter. It's time for Oriya cuisine to shine because for the longest it was a younger sister of some other cuisine.
Every successful or a celebrity chef is not a great content creator. Every content creator is not a great chef. You managed to do a jugalbandi of both. How did you do that?
I just fell in love with the medium. I just fell in, you know, I was already in love with food and this is who I am, right? So I've been cooking for 16, 17 years before I even came in front of the camera. So खाने से एक relationship बहुत गहरा और बहुत honest relationship बना हुआ था. And then when I worked with the medium, I just fell in love with the medium. The idea of filmmaking, the idea of reaching out to people, the idea of conveying your thoughts, storytelling, you know, cameras, lighting, the science behind it. I think that just happened for a couple of years. It was just macerating, this whole love for filmmaking. And then eventually it started coming together.
So someone in their 20s, if they want an advice to how to be a good food content creator, how should they start?
देखिए पहले तो खाने से मोहब्बत होनी बहुत ज़रूरी है.
मतलब सबको जी अच्छा खाना सबको अच्छा लगता है.
Yeah, I think if you genuinely need to find your connect to food, and everybody has a different connect. Like, you know, I always say my connect is different because it's not everybody's connect is unique. But I'm a farmer's son, so my connect with ingredients always grown up in farmland. So वो ingredients के साथ connect है. एक पंजाबी लखनऊ एक unique relationship जो खाने के साथ है उसका होना उसको identify करना and to be proud of that. I think that is the first step you need to have to do to be a food creator. Once you realize it, you'll find ways to express it. That is one. The second bit, I think, which is there is a sense of respect for what you're speaking about and who you're speaking to.
Know your customer.
Know your customer. Or because you know a lot of people say, Ranveer, how do you draw this line? मतलब आधे टाइम तो तू मजाक करता रहता है, किसी को बुरा नहीं लगता. If you see my videos, most of it is joking around. अरे ऐसा मत कर दीजिएगा.
17 मिनट खत्म कब होते पता ही नहीं लगता.
So मस्ती करते हैं ना.
और नया फॉर्मेट एक्चुअली 15-17 मिनट के पुराने वीडियोस नहीं होते थे, 3-4 मिनट के होते थे.
We will talk about that. There's a good business study in that. So, but I do it out of respect. I do it like I'm talking to a family member. You know, मम्मी के साथ भी मजाक करते हैं ना. So I think respecting the medium and respecting who you're speaking to, identifying your relationship, and उसके बाद you really have no control over how it's going to get distributed, what are the newer forms of expression that are going to come in. 60 सेकंड में करना पड़ेगा कि 1 मिनट में कि you know उसके ऊपर we have no control. I think these three is what we have control over. Now coming back to the 3 minute 5 minute thing. So when we started YouTube, so I was told we hired a consultant. And I was told, well, you know, Ranveer, 3 minutes, 5 minutes maximum, you got to shut this down. So
that's what they said.
Yeah,
short, punchy videos.
Yeah, and we were paying him a lot of money, right? So मैंने कहा नहीं ठीक है चलो कोई नहीं आपकी बात सुन लेते हैं. तो मैंने शूट किया कुछ 3 मिनट का एडिट बनाया. मैंने कहा नहीं यार.
This was your first video.
First few videos.
First video.
5 मिनट बनाया मैंने. नहीं यार नहीं हो रहा यार मेरे you know there's so much to speak about this. I don't know when I'm going to get to cook a dal next. I want to speak about it. तो करते करते हम लोग पहुंचे 8-9 मिनट तक है ना. So till then the consultant was like, you know, it's not going to work, but it's okay. चलो ठीक है करते. Then we did a Nihari video. The video was 17 minutes. And the poor guy lost his, you know, he's like, नहीं, I need to quit, you know. I need to quit. Please.
सारी थ्योरी चेंज कर दिया.
सब हाँ ये तो आपका कुछ नहीं चलेगा. आप मेरा भी टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. You know, there are other clients who need me. So हमने कहा ठीक है आप एक काम करो. अब क्या करोगे आप? So he said, well, you need to pay me the rest of my retainer. I was like, sure. He was like, yeah. I was like, but the deal was that after a year you become a 5% profit share in the business. I was like, you don't want that. He was like, no, just pay me the rest of it. So he signed off in goodwill. And that video went viral. 17 minutes. It's just Nihari video just flew out of the roof. And that's when I realized, I was like, it's not about time and duration. It's about you being honest to what you're doing and people finding connect to it. And आज की डेट में तो आप देखिए 10 minutes से नीचे का तो वीडियो नहीं है कुछ.
जी हाँ जी हाँ.
So YouTube guys call me and say that Ranveer, this is something that we attribute this a lot to you. That these days 10 minutes has become a norm for a food video on YouTube.
If one has to look at the top food channels in India, are you in top 5 or top 3? Are you number 1 already?
I don't know how you'd sort of categorize it, but if it is the number of followers in the whole chef cooking space, I think we are number 2. And the rest of the matrices are very weird, I think. But it's just a blessing to be. तो मतलब, you know, this is all that hindsight is such a beautiful thing वाला conversation है. You know, it's just a beautiful place to be.
तब एक्टिंग में कहाँ जा रहे हैं? भाई आप टीवी के सामने आते हो, YouTube के वीडियोस बनाते हो, करीना कपूर के साथ पिक्चर, ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया?
Yeah, I think भाई थोड़ा सा, you know, like it just made me the right sort of uncomfortable again when this thing came.
तो आप शेफ तो नहीं हो ना पिक्चर में?
हाँ नहीं शेफ.
शेफ नहीं हो.
So when I did Model of Mumbai, you know, when Hansal sir said कि यार ये एक शेफ का रोल है, तो you'll have to act. तो मैंने कहा शेफ ही का रोल है ना. So and then it was a gay chef role. So मैंने कहा this is it was making me the right sort of uncomfortable. It was not the top shell obvious response नहीं था. मैंने कहा नहीं this will work because it just reminded me of the time when I chose to be a chef. It made me that uncomfortable. It was not an obvious choice. I did that, and then when I realized that there's a lot that I inherently have developed. One, because of the love for the medium. Two, because of just being in front of the cameras all the time. There's a lot of barriers that have already been broken, and now it is just about an inward understanding of yourself and performing. And that's what we did in the film.
How are you dealing with recognition? How are you dealing with stardom? How are you dealing with popularity? How has that changed you?
I just close my eyes to it. That's the only way. That's the only way I know. Be indifferent.
You've also incubated a restaurant business. It's a very tough business. It's a business you have to invest a lot. Chalega, nahi chalega. You've had a couple of failed experiments, a lot of successful, experiments. For the audience on this channel, we are a business channel. They want to understand that how can they be successful in a restaurant business or a QSR business. ये बड़ा fashionable word है, सब restaurant खोलना चाहता है. I went to Goa for a family vacation, and trust me, every third person from Delhi, I don't know why from Delhi, they want to open a restaurant or have a restaurant or planning to open a restaurant. ये हो रहा है जी गोवा में, आपने देखा होगा.
So I think I'll start from there. So the first of all, what you can be in the best of places, make the most informed decisions, have the best consultants, had done your analytics to the best of your ability, and your restaurant will still fail. Restaurants will always be a toss of coin. You can give it your best, but you never know why it's tail. However, the most important thing is the intent.
Intent.
Okay. अगर आप रेस्टोरेंट इसलिए खोलना चाहते हैं बिकॉज बेटे को सेटल करना है, या फिर आपके बगल वाले किसी ने खोला है, उसका रेस्टोरेंट बहुत चल रहा है, या आप किसी वीकेंड में किसी रेस्टोरेंट में गए, आपको लगा यार ये तो बड़ा अच्छा बिजनेस है, इट्स अ फैंटास्टिक बिजनेस टू बी इन, ही इज फुल, आई कैन ऑल्सो बी फुल, आई विल ऑल्सो मेक मनी. Those restaurants have higher chances of failure because you're coming at the business from a very non-committal relationship. Restaurant is it's a shadi. It's a very committal relationship. You have to commit to it failing. You have to commit to 1 year of working capital. You have to commit to sort of putting everything behind it when you're not succeeding. It's the grit. It's the last man standing business.
Which cuisine to your mind in India right now is at a stage of explosion? कि बहुत बड़ा हो सकता है ये.
I think a couple of them. I think एक तो food from Kerala. We really haven't touched upon it because generally, as a society, they're docile and they're not really out loud like the Punjabis taking the flag everywhere. But that cuisine is extremely diverse, extremely healthy, extremely conscious, sustainable, close to nature, good for the body food. That is the future of eating anyways in times to come. And the second, I'm obsessed with Odia food. I think it is...
तो नया रेस्टोरेंट ओडिया फूड का आ रहा है?
नए रेस्टोरेंट में ओडिया फूड काफी सारा होने वाला है. But we will see a time when there are going to be restaurants entirely based on Odia food.
थोड़ी kitchen hacks बताइए. 3 things or 5 things which every kitchen should have according to you.
So kitchen hacks, I think my obsession with dhania is world known. So yeah, I think everybody should finish their dishes with coriander. If it's a North Indian dish, fresh, taza dhania. I always say, mix your salts. We've just gotten used to the highly iodized table salt. For obvious reasons, like goiter issues, and there's no goiter threat anymore. Our regular salt with iodine has a certain metallicness to it. Always mix your salt. Add a little bit of Himalayan salt, a little bit of rock salt. Add your iodized salt, but at least have 60% of other salts in it. It'll enhance your taste in a big way. The third thing I always say is, everything sweet, add a pinch of salt. Everything savory, add a pinch of sugar. They always balance each other out. Hamam dasta zarur rakhiye. I always say, if you have an option, don't chop, pound, right? And don't do it in the mixer. Just go for it. It just creates an entirely honest dimension to food. Other than that, always make it a habit to make the back of the pack the new front of the pack. Do not pick up any ingredient and bring it to your kitchen if you haven't read the back of the pack.
What about oil? Which is a good oil, which is a bad oil? ये बड़ा controversial topic है आज.
ये शुरू से ही है ये topic, you know. But I think, see, मैं, you know, because we are also in the business, but I always say I just give the anomaly of sugarcane, है ना? So and everybody is intelligent enough to get the answer. But हम लोग कहते हैं कि शक्कर से गुड़ अच्छा, गुड़ से गन्ने का रस अच्छा, गन्ने के रस से गन्ना अच्छा. So just keep your life and your ingredients as less processed as possible.
एक secret recipe आपकी कौन सी जो आपने किसी को नहीं बताई है?
Yeah, actually, there are no secrets. Honestly, there are no. Cooking is not about, you know, if anybody says there is a secret sauce or a secret recipe, he's probably adding a little more sugar or a little less salt. Yeah. The secret is stick to the basics. And this, if it is not simple cooking, it is not authentic cooking.
So I'm taking the liberty of perhaps throwing a challenge at you.
जी.
You've been a judge, you are a chef, and you are a content creator. आप लोगों को जज करते हैं जो बनाते हैं और आप सिखाते हैं. अब मुझे तो चाय बनाना भी नहीं आता.
Yeah? तो चाय बनाते हैं.
तो चाय बनाते हैं. चाय में देखिए पानी, दूध, पत्ती, धनिया तो नहीं डालेंगे, अदरक
और कुछ हाँ मसाले डाल देंगे, इलायची और वो सब डाल देंगे.
मगर चाय बनाना इजी हो सकता है.
क्या है?
आप सिखा सकते हैं.
100%.
मेरे जैसे कोई सिखा सकते हैं.
Absolutely.
चलिए ये चैलेंज है आज का.
Let's do this. I call tea the world's biggest mystery. This is the secret ingredient that you don't tell people that you put in your tea, but you put in your tea. कि यार रंग कम है, पत्ती थोड़ी ऊपर से डाल दो. पत्ती ऊपर से नहीं डाली. रंग कम है, बोलो that's my style.
पता नहीं लगा मेरी चाय कौन सी है.